Hello, everyone, and welcome to this week's episode on the Rosa and Rubini podcast, Making Sense of This World. My name is Manas Chavla, and as always, I'm really pleased to be joined by CEO and Head of Research, Brunella Rosa. This week, we're talking about Tusk's victory in Poland, reviving European integration hopes. This was quite the election that we were sort of watching for weeks to come, and unfortunately, other events in the world may have distracted from this a little bit, so we did want to return to this. But these general elections took place with the turnout being almost 75%, the largest since the country's return to democracy in 1989. Brunel, can you give us sort of the bird's eye view of what we saw happen?
Yeah, absolutely. So the first thing is that, as you said, there are a number of elections we are following this year, and also ahead of next year, big electoral appointments that we have also discussed. Now, this was particularly important because it came after the Slovakian elections that saw the victory of Robert Fico. So the idea was, okay, these countries in the Visegrad group, how are they performing? How are they evolving? Especially after Slovakia has turned right again and towards populism and pro-Russia. Now, Poland delivered a totally different result, I would say. The turnout, as you say, was quite high. And eventually, it is true that the Law and Justice Party, the PiS by Kaczynski, turned out to be the first party still, with around 35% of votes, but is now effectively unable to form a governing coalition, even if he were to make a pact with the so-called Confederation, which is a nationalistic right-wing populist party. Together, they would not reach anywhere near the half of the 460 seats of parliament. On the other hand, instead, there's a sort of slightly heterogeneous coalition forming around the civic platform led by Donald Tusk that got around 31% of votes, so lower than PiS, but with those allies, he can have a comfortable majority in parliament, and that's why we believe that eventually Tusk will be appointed prime minister by President Duda.
I mean, the official ballot announcement came by the sort of National Electoral Commission, which confirmed the exit polls. What are the sort of numbers you saw?
So the most important numbers I would say is that um, uh, PiS together with the Confederation, together at most they can reach 212 seats versus the 231 needed for a majority, while the platform, the civic platform led by Tusk, the so-called Third Way, which is a kind of a new formation, and the Left Party together could reach a confirmed majority of 248 seats. So, based on these, Duda could still ask Morawiecki, the leader of the PiS and current prime minister, to try and form a government, but it's very unlikely to achieve that. And even if it does,
Mm.
it will fail, and then Duda will have to anyway ask Tusk to form a government. And given those numbers, it's more likely than not that he will be able to do so. It's not different from what is happening in Spain, where the People's Party, the Partido Popular, was first but unable to form a government, and now it will be the socialist turn try and most likely succeed. So, it's a dynamic that we are seeing elsewhere.
Yeah. I mean, so if Tusk does become Poland's prime minister, as you sort of lay out, it's quite likely to, he'll have several issues to fix. What are some of the key ones, both on the domestic front, but also on the international and particularly sort of the Russia-Ukraine front?
So, on the domestic front, it has quite a large deficit of 4% GDP to take care of, while reaffirming the importance of military spending, which is 3% of GDP itself, above the NATO mandated 2%, something that is one of the few countries to achieve. The other is Greece, potentially the UK, all other countries, Germany, Italy, France, nowhere near that. So this is not an easy challenge. On the international front is the more complicated one. As you know, Poland, together with Hungary, they are subject to Article 7 procedure by the EU. They're risking to lose their voting rights, and for the time being, most of the all of the funds from the EU have been frozen because they have violated the rule of law, in particular over the peace influence over the judiciary and free press. So there is around 75 billions in EU funding that is being frozen, of which 25 billions in grants. So money that is ready available that doesn't need to be given back. So this is a large pot of money that the EU can provide to a more pro-European government. And among those commitments, of course, is returning towards a more loyal position towards Ukraine. As you know, Poland has been very close to Ukraine and NATO since the beginning of the war, but more recently there have been lots of, I would say, doubts from the Morawiecki government, given the pressure they were receiving from the agricultural sector, because they allowed Ukrainian grains to enter the country, undercut the prices of the local producers. So we believe and hope that if Tusk returns to power, all these tensions will eventually vanish.
Yeah. It seems like the Visegrad group is now more divided than ever. We saw something totally different happen in Slovakia with Robert Fico being elected. And so Slovakia and Hungary still insisting on their sort of populist, more so right-wing leaders, but Czechia and Poland returning and re-embracing to sort of a more pro-European stance, which will be critical in the next sort of phases of the war in Ukraine, but also for hopes of European integration as a whole. After all, Poland is the fifth largest country in the EU, just after Germany, France, Italy, and Spain. And is an important sort of political harbinger for other trends to come. So certainly something we'll watch for the following weeks and months. But as always, thank you so much for your time and insight, Brunello.
Thank you. Until next time.